of a champion.
There aren't many basketball stars who step off the bench and directly into the dictionary, but that's what happened last season when a third-string guard for the New York Knicks named Jeremy Lin spawned something so new, so crazy, so outside the realm of rational explanation that it demanded its own word, Linsanity. For a few weeks, the entire professional basketball world was in the throes of this Harvard-educated Asian American who battled his way through racial stereotypes to become a shooting star.
The story will continue in a moment.
As one New Yorker, let me tell you what you did for the city. It was a magical time, you know, and Madison Square Garden at that moment was what it was intended to be.
Well, appreciate that.
Look who's coming in. Jeremy Lin.
Jeremy Lin was the 12th man on a slumping, injury-riddled 12-man team last season when the New York Knicks coach Mike D'Antoni put him into the game and into basketball history.
Minutes to the basket, reverse layup, he puts it in. That one a play for Jeremy Lin. Gets to the rim, puts it in, and a foul. Wow!
25 points, 7 assists, and a Knick victory. Then he did it again in the next game. And then again.
Nobody stopping Jeremy Lin on that play.
That stretch, that was the most fun I've ever had in my life.
That's what athletes want. One-to-one with the fans, playing at their best in a place that is a cathedral.
I agree.
Can you believe this is happening to you?
No.
And New Yorkers were swept into an epidemic of Linsanity. His name was unavoidable in the papers, magazine covers, and in the stands.
I didn't know that you could turn Lin into so many things.
League officials, like Commissioner David Stern, knew a good thing when they saw it, even if they had trouble understanding just what it was.
We couldn't even figure it out. We couldn't get enough Jeremy Lin material in the NBA store fast enough, and when we did, it was just gone in minutes.
You've never seen anything like it?
No, but we enjoyed it.
On the February night Lin came off the bench, jerseys with his name and number 17 did not even exist. Now they were the hottest selling items in all sports. About the only person who seemed unaware of the frenzy was the Los Angeles Lakers star, Kobe Bryant.
Jeremy Lin, are you following that story at all? No idea. I know who he is, but I don't really know what's going on too much with him. I don't even know what he's done. I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
But Bryant's famed detachment ended before a national television audience. Just a few games removed from being a basketball non-entity, Lin rang up 38 points, embarrassing Kobe and the Lakers.
Lin likes the open floor, spinning, puts it up and banks it in. Yes. Sensational play for Jeremy Lin.
When I shot that three-pointer from the corner,
Lin from deep.
that was the loudest I've ever heard in an arena. And I literally felt like I was hovering because of how crazy the place was.
A new star is born in the NBA.
Through his first 5 starts, the undrafted Ivy League point guard scored 136 points.
Lin for the win! Got it!
More than any other player in league history. Not bad for a guy who'd been spending his nights crashing on his brothers' and teammates' couches, uncertain of his future with the team. But then, just as quickly as Linsanity arrived in New York, it evaporated. First came an injury, and then he was on his way out of town, bound for the Houston Rockets and a 3-year, $25 million contract. His days on the couch were over, but so was his career with the Knicks, who passed up the chance to re-sign him. What happened? Do you believe they didn't want you?
No, I think they wanted to bring me back. I think they wanted to bring me back at a certain price range, and I think the offer that Houston gave was not in that price range.
Can you possibly look back and say, maybe I didn't do enough to stay in New York? That maybe if I had said to them, I want to be here, I want to be
Nick. This is home.
You know, I think everything happened the way it was supposed to.
You really believe that?
I really do.
Turned out the way it was supposed to.
Yeah.
If New York wasn't in his future, Asia certainly was.
Tell me about going to China. I mean, after everything that had happened, the explosion of Lin sanity.
In my mind, I figured I'm going to show up to some events and there's going to be a lot of fans there, right. And they're going to want to take pictures.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Then they'll let me go home and I'll be fine back at the hotel.
Yeah, but like I knew it was going to be like intense, but it was probably like 5 times crazier than I thought it was going to be.
When Jeremy Lin arrived for a series of appearances in China and Taiwan last summer, he was greeted as if he were all 4 Beatles on a reunion tour.
Explain to me what you think it is that people in Asia, because of the intensity there and because of the role model you are. Nobody's seen anything like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think like, I'm Asian just like they are. That's the biggest thing. I'm also like their size in a lot of ways, in terms of height and weight and position.
Lin's popularity in Asia could not have come at a better time for NBA Commissioner David Stern, who has hopes of turning his league into a global brand.
When you look at your interest in basketball being an international sport, does this does this give some velocity?
You mean you think that because China has 1.2 billion or 1.3 billion people,
yes.
And half of them under the age of 25, and many of them bouncing basketballs? Yes. Walk into the playgrounds in Shanghai or Beijing, and you see youngsters who are shorter, shaking and baking and having attitude, and Jeremy Lin is going to inspire all of them.
But it's not only the gospel of basketball that Jeremy Lin wanted spread in Asia. Lin书豪! There was also the gospel of Matthew and Mark, Luke, and John.
I want to encourage you guys to share the good news of Jesus Christ with everybody.
During the Taiwan leg of his China tour, Lin shared his evangelical Christian faith, not only with an arena full of the faithful, but with hundreds of churches through a live telecast of his message.
How did you come to religion?
I was born and raised in the church.
God was supernaturally using me on the court.
It gives me purpose for, what I do, and gives me guidance on how to live my life and what kind of person that I want to strive to become.
And it helps you now deal with insanity.
Yeah, I think.
God says, don't let it go to your head.
I mean, that's one thing. There's a lot of temptations. There's a lot of different things that are going on, and there's just too many ways in which faith plays a part in the grand scheme of things.
He's deeply religious.
And we like that.
Jeremy's parents, Shirley and Jiming, immigrated to the United States from Taiwan in the 1970s. Both engineers, they raised their 3 American-born sons, Josh, Jeremy, and Joseph, in Palo Alto, California. Education was the top priority in the Lin household.
Turn it off, Daddy.
But Dad's fascination with the NBA infected Jeremy, and soon he was asking his parents if he could give up piano lessons to focus on basketball.
Asian immigrant parents very rarely, at least when I was growing up, push or support their kids to play sports as much as my parents did. It wasn't the typical path for an Asian American kid growing up.
Jeremy balanced books with basketball, and his parents were determined to keep him straight.
And your role was?
Play with my kids.
Play with them. And your role was?
I do the dirty work.
She has the money.
He got the funds.
He got the fun. So you had the discipline.
I'm the one that study.
Yeah.
The good Lin, bad Lin routine worked, and by his senior year of high school, the basketball world could not ignore Jeremy Lin.
If Palo Alto is going to win this game, they're going to need a strong performance out of their unquestioned leader, senior point guard Jeremy Lin.
How good were you in high school?
I would say I was decent.
Decent? Weren't you the best player in California?
Well, I got that award. Doesn't mean I was best player. I think that had a lot to do with my team's success.
He was named California Player of the Year, and he could pass and shoot. Plus, he was incredibly fast. But when it came time to look at colleges, not a single Division I program came calling with a scholarship.
Not one Pac-10 team?
No.
Not UCLA, not Stanford, your hometown?
No.
What do you think they didn't see?
Well, I think the obvious thing is, in my mind, is that I was Asian American, which, you know, is a whole different issue. But that's, I think that was a barrier.
When you say because you're an Asian American, what is that? But there's nothing about being Asian American that doesn't give you the ability to play basketball.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, it's a stereotype.
Stereotypes are nothing new for Lin. Growing up, he was often the only Asian player on his teams and frequently heard racial slurs from opponents on the court.
What would they say? What kind of things?
Pretty much anything you could think of, from stereotypical, you know, Asian food.
Yeah.
You know, making fun of my complexion, my skin color, or, you know, the way Asians look. Pretty much everything.
Lin believes that if he were black or white, he would have had multiple scholarship offers, including one from his hometown's Stanford University. But Stanford's offer was for a walk-on opportunity, while Harvard, like all Ivy League schools, could not offer a sports scholarship. It did offer a place on the team.
Were you happy that he went to Harvard?
Oh, we love it.
So better there than go to a big basketball school.
Yeah, I think so.
How about him, though? But because he loved basketball.
Harvard offered him to be in the team.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a good choice. Other than that, Harvard also had better academic than Stanford.
Yeah, and then they're both pretty good.
Both pretty good, yes.
But even in Ivy-covered Cambridge, some things hadn't changed. They'd even gotten worse.
You know, college environment usually very hostile. So he got a lot of name calling, things like that during the game.
Bad names?
Bad names, like a racist. I think first you heard it make you uncomfortable. It's like, wow, you know, where's that come from? But then later on, he got more, you know, mature.
I mean, there are times when people say stuff and I just laugh. You know, all I do is laugh and move on and just not say anything and just forget about it. It made me a stronger person.
It didn't get you down?
It did, but now it doesn't really bother me anymore.
What did bother him was that after leading the Harvard team in scoring, rebounding, assists, and steals, not one NBA team drafted him.
Do you think there was ever any discrimination against him because he was an Asian American?
I think in the rawest sense, the answer to that is yes. In terms of looking at somebody who comes out of, I don't know whether he was discriminated against because he was at Harvard,
yes,
or because he was Asian.
In other words, it's a kind of prejudgment about him that he can't be that good because he doesn't have the same background as others.
Correct.
In Houston, the Rockets and their fans have embraced Jeremy Lin. He has settled in as an above-average NBA guard and the face of his franchise, complete with endorsement deals for sneakers and Swedish sedans. He's even made a documentary about himself. And on the Rockets' first trip to New York earlier this season, Knick fans showed their appreciation for his brief moment in the stratosphere.
And guard at 6'3" from Harvard, number 7, Jeremy Lin.